Paris. Marine Gruppenkommando, West. The early hours of the 27th of May, 1941. The radio operators are waiting. They have been waiting for some time. The last signals from the fleet commander have been logged, their coordinates noted, their text recorded in the war diary. Now the frequency holds nothing. The operators adjust. They wait. The silence continues. They have the last transmission. They know what it said. What they don't know is whether anyone is left to send another one. The answer goes back 2 weeks, to the argument between a Grand Admiral and his Führer, an argument never fully resolved, whose consequences were now somewhere in the North Atlantic going down. Grand Admiral Erich Raeder had a problem. He commanded the most technically advanced surface fleet Germany had ever built, and the man who ran the war didn't believe in it. Hitler's instinct was for submarines, for the wolf packs that were bleeding British convoys white across the Atlantic. Surface ships were expensive, visible, and vulnerable. They invited exactly the kind of confrontation with the Royal Navy that, in Hitler's view, Germany could not afford. Raeder saw it differently. He believed that Great Britain's naval strength posed a fundamental strategic threat that submarines alone could not answer. He believed that German heavy ships, operating against Atlantic shipping lanes, could force a crisis that would strangle Britain's supply lines and win the war at sea. The evidence, going into 1941, seemed to support him. German heavy cruisers had mauled British and Allied shipping across the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean. The battleships Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, operating together, had destroyed 22 Allied merchant vessels in 2 months and returned to Brest unharmed. If 2 ships could do that, what could 4 do, with the largest, fastest, most heavily armored battleship in the German fleet leading them? That was the plan. Bismarck and the heavy cruiser Prinz Eugen would break out into the North Atlantic and link up with Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, already berthed at Brest. 4 ships descending on Allied convoys while Bismarck drew off the escorts and the faster cruisers massacred the merchantmen. The code name was Rheinübung. Operation Rhine Exercise. It was a coherent plan, and almost immediately it began to fall apart. Scharnhorst required an engine overhaul. In early April, Gneisenau was torpedoed and bombed during a British air raid on Brest. Tirpitz, Bismarck's sister ship, intended as the operation's second capital unit, had only been commissioned in February and was not ready for sea. The 4-ship formation shrank to 2. Bismarck and Prinz Eugen would go alone. The fleet commander who would lead them was Admiral Lütjens. He had commanded the Scharnhorst-Gneisenau raid. He was experienced, decorated, and deeply skeptical of what he was being asked to do. He tried to change Raeder's mind. He argued that a 2-ship force was insufficient, that the German fleet should not be fed, his exact phrase, teaspoon by teaspoon into battle with the enemy. He wanted to wait until Tirpitz was ready. He was overruled. What followed established the terms on which this entire operation would be conducted. Raeder and Lütjens did not inform Hitler that Bismarck was scheduled to sail. The man who ran the war was not told that his most powerful warship was about to break into the Atlantic. His 2 senior naval commanders made that decision together. They feared correctly that Hitler might cancel the operation if he knew. So they sailed without telling him. Lütjens boarded Bismarck already doubting the mission. He was a lean, formal man, severe in bearing, almost constitutionally cold. He did not explain his orders. He did not seek the company of his officers. He gave commands and fell silent. In photographs, he appears rigid, hollow-cheeked, the Knight's Cross at his throat, his expression offering nothing. He was 51 years old when Bismarck sailed from Gdynia on the 18th of May, 1941. 9 days later, he would be dead. May 24th, 1941. The Denmark Strait, the narrow, freezing passage between Iceland and Greenland, choked with pack ice on one side and a British minefield on the other. Bismarck and Prinz Eugen have been sighted. The British have sent a squadron to intercept HMS Hood, the largest warship afloat, 40,000 tons, the pride of the Royal Navy. And the new battleship, Prince of Wales, so new that civilian dockyard workers are still finishing her fire control systems. At 600 hours, Bismarck's guns are already firing. Hood is turning to bring her full broadside to bear when Bismarck's fifth salvo falls. At least one 38-centimeter armor-piercing shell penetrates Hood's thin-deck armor and reaches the rear ammunition magazine. 112 tons of cordite propellant detonate simultaneously. Over Bismarck's loudspeakers, the gunnery officer Schneider's voice. He is sinking. Hood is gone in 90 seconds. 1,415 men. 3 survivors. Bismarck has, in a single engagement, destroyed the most symbolically important ship in the Royal Navy. The crew erupts. They have done what seemed impossible. They believe the worst is behind them. Below the waterline, it is not. Prince of Wales, despite her unfinished state, has scored 3 hits. One of them opens a fuel bunker. Oil streams into the Atlantic. Compartments flood. The raiding mission, the entire premise of Rheinübung, is effectively over. Lütjens knows this. He turns the task force toward France. Then the argument. Captain Ernst Lindemann commands Bismarck. He is, in temperament, everything Lütjens is not. Impulsive, physically assertive, tactically instinctive. During the engagement, when Bismarck's gunnery officer had needed permission to open fire and Lütjens hadn't answered, it was Lindemann who spoke. "I'm not letting my ship get shot out from under my ass. Open fire." Now, with Prince of Wales damaged and struggling, Lindemann wants to press the attack and finish her. Lütjens refuses. The British ship limps away. In Berlin, Hitler receives the news of Hood's sinking without visible reaction. He does not celebrate. He asks, why didn't he sink her too? Why hasn't he tried to get out of there? He will ask the same questions again, formally, with full consequences, in 11 days' time. For now, they remain private. The instinct of a man who was not told his fleet had sailed, hearing about its first engagement from across 800 miles of ocean. The 25th of May, 1941. Night has passed. Bismarck is trailing oil and heading southeast toward France. In the darkness and confusion following Hood's destruction, something has happened that the British are only now beginning to understand. The Royal Navy has lost the ship. HMS Suffolk, which had been shadowing Bismarck through the Denmark Strait on radar, has lost contact. The pursuing fleet, King George V, Victorious, Repulse, a dozen more, ranging across the Atlantic on uncertain vectors. Bismarck has, through darkness and chance, shaken free. Below decks, the crew senses it. The pursuit that had dogged them for days has gone quiet. Nothing on radar, nothing on the hydrophones. The mood shifts. Men begin talking about France, about Brest, about shore leave, about what they will do when they arrive. In the engineering spaces, someone has begun constructing a fake second funnel from scavenged materials. The plan is to disguise Bismarck as a British ship when she enters the Bay of Biscay. To fool any patrol aircraft, they are building props for a journey they believe they will complete. Admiral Lütjens is not below decks. At 700, he drafts a transmission to Group West. He believes, incorrectly, that he is still being shadowed. He has not grasped that the British have lost him. The message is long. He transmits for 30 minutes, reporting the engagement, describing the damage, confirming his course. It goes out over open air. The crew below him thought they were saved. Their admiral was telling the British where to find them. British intercept stations pick up the signal. Bearings are taken. The direction-finding data is passed to Admiral Tovey aboard King George V. And here, in the middle of this unraveling, fate introduces one more twist. Tovey's navigation team misplots the bearing. They put the bearing lines on the wrong chart reference. They conclude that Bismarck is heading northeast, back toward Germany, through the Iceland-Faroe Gap. Tovey turns his fleet in that direction. For 7 hours, the entire British pursuit steams away from Bismarck, who is heading southeast toward France. 2 separate navigation errors, by enemies, nearly cancelling each other out. Lütjens broke silence unnecessarily. The British intercepted the signal and chased the wrong direction. The ship that should have been found was almost saved by the very mistake that should have doomed her. Almost. British code breakers are working through the afternoon. An intercepted Luftwaffe signal, decrypted by an analyst named Jane Fawcett, contains an order for air support to be arranged for the Bismarck's arrival at Brest. The British now know where she is going, even if they cannot pin down exactly where she is. The net does not need to close from all sides. It only needs to close from one. There is one more detail from the 25th of May. Hitler sent Lütjens a birthday message. Lütjens was born on May the 25th, 1889. His 52nd birthday fell in the middle of the chase. The Führer's message arrived. Lütjens acknowledged it. 2 days later, he was dead. The 26th of May, 1941. The North Atlantic, 640 miles west of Land's End. The weather is deteriorating. Northwesterly winds at force 7, building toward 8. Swells 15 feet high, rising. The overcast is thick and gray. It is not flying weather. HMS Royal, the carrier that has been hunting south to intercept Bismarck's route to France, launches Swordfish biplanes into the gale anyway. The Swordfish is a fabric-covered biplane with an open cockpit, a maximum speed of around 140 miles per hour, and a single torpedo slung under its fuselage. The crews fly in conditions that would ground most aircraft. They go. The second wave, corrected from an earlier misdirection, finds Bismarck in deteriorating visibility and launches from every angle. Most of the torpedoes miss or fail to damage. One does not. A single torpedo strikes Bismarck's stern. It jams the rudder 15 degrees to port. In any other sea state, skilled engineering crews might have worked around it, might have rigged manual steering, might have cleared the mechanism. In a force 8 Atlantic gale, with the ship rolling badly and the sea driving into every hatchway they open, the repair teams cannot reach it. Bismarck begins turning in a circle. Then the wind catches her. Then the swells. The damaged stern swings northwest. The ship is no longer running toward France. The wind and sea are steering her back toward the British battleships closing from the west. The torpedo that crippled her had been aimed, in effect, by the storm. At 19:48 that evening, a German U-boat is in the water nearby. It can see the carrier and the battleship passing through the mist. From the commander's log, alarm. Aft from the mist at full speed, a battleship of the King George class and 1 aircraft carrier, probably the Ark Royal, came into view. 10 points off starboard. If only I had some torpedoes. I would not even have to get into firing position. I am lying exactly right for an attack. No destroyers, no zigzag course. I could get into position between the 2 ships and finish both off at once. Maybe I could have helped the Bismarck. This submarine, almost certainly U-556, had expended its torpedoes on convoy targets earlier in the patrol. The carrier that launched the Swordfishes and the battleship that would deliver the killing blow the following morning both passed within perfect firing range of a German submarine that had nothing to fire. The log entry breaks off. The night of the 26th into the 27th. Bismarck is circling in heavy swells, firing at British destroyers that harry her through the dark. She cannot run. She cannot steer. Her guns still work. Her crew still mans them, but she is no longer going anywhere except toward what is coming. At 21:40, Lütjens transmits to Group West and the Kriegsmarine High Command. Torpedotreffer Achteraus. Schiff manövrierunfähig. Wir kämpfen bis zur letzten Granate. Torpedo hit aft. Ship unmaneuverable. We fight to the last shell. In Paris, General Admiral Salvachter's headquarters receives the signal. In the Bay of Biscay, Admiral Dönitz's U-boat command processes it with the language of logistics. The BDU war log records at 2141. All boats in Biscay which still had torpedoes U-74, 48, 73, 97 were ordered to make for this position at maximum speed. Task assigned: protection of Bismarck. The U-boats are dispatched, the coordinates are updated, the traffic continues. At 2340, a second transmission, the Fuller signal. Schiff manövrierunfähig. Wir kämpfen bis zur letzten Granate. Es lebe der Führer. Ship unmanövrable. We fight to the last shell. Long live the Führer. A man who argued against this operation, who went into the Atlantic already doubting it, who broke radio silence with a message he did not need to send and sealed his own fate and the fate of 2,200 men, who exchanged pleasantries with the Führer on his birthday, while the British were triangulating his position from his own transmissions, who ends his last formal signal to the institution that sent him, to the hierarchy he served, with an oath to the head of state in whose service he had argued, been overruled, and now died. He does not explain himself. He never did. Sometime in the night, Lütjens orders Bismarck's stores opened. The crew can help themselves. Food, drink, whatever they want. Every sailor aboard understands immediately what it means. He did not make an announcement. He did not address them over the loudspeakers. He gave an order. For this admiral, who communicated in silence and executed in silence and never offered a word beyond what the mission required, opening the stores was his announcement. It required no further explanation. In the BDU war log, the entry for the remainder of the night is clinical. Dispatched submarines, updated grid references, consultation with Group West. No further reports were received from or of Bismarck. The U-boats are hours away and cannot reach her in time. The log records task assignments until there are no more tasks to assign. Dawn, May the 27th, 1941. The sky is overcast. The sea is still running heavy from the previous night's gale. Bismarck is down by the stern, listing, steering in erratic circles. Her ensign is still flying, HMS Rodney opens fire at 16,000 yards, unusually close range for 16-inch guns. King George V closes from the northeast. Bismarck's forward turrets reply, bracketing the British ships in the opening salvos. Her guns still work. She is still fighting. But with her rudder jammed and her list increasing, she cannot maneuver, cannot close, cannot run. She can only absorb what is coming. Within the first minutes of the engagement, a 16-inch shell from Rodney strikes Bismarck's forward superstructure and detonates. The shell almost certainly kills Admiral Lütjens and most of the command staff in the conning tower. He did not see the end. The ship he doubted, the operation he argued against, the transmission he sent and should not have sent. All of it had been moving toward this since before it began, and at some point in the early minutes of the bombardment, he was gone. Over the next 90 minutes, Rodney and King George V fire some 700 large caliber shells. The turrets are knocked out one by one. Fires take hold amidships. The crew begins flooding compartments below, and Captain Ernst Lindemann, who wanted to pursue Prince of Wales and was overruled, who opened fire when the Admiral wouldn't answer, who commanded this ship for its entire brief career, makes his way to the upper deck. Survivors, in multiple accounts, describe a final salute. Then the ship takes him down. By 10:15, Admiral Tovey signals in his official dispatch. The Bismarck was a wreck without a gun firing on fire fore and aft, and wallowing more heavily every moment. She rolls to port and sinks at 10:40. The Royal Navy begins pulling survivors from the water. Then a reported U-boat sight, later proven false, forces the rescue ships to break off. Of 2,200 men, 114 are recovered. 10 days pass. On June the 6th, 1941, Grand Admiral Erich Rheinübung travels to the Berghof, Hitler's retreat in the Bavarian Alps, to deliver his formal report on Operation Rheinübung. He brings what records exist: Prince Eugen's war diary, signals logs from Group West, the accounts of 3 survivors recovered from the water by U-74. He has had 10 days to construct a professional reckoning. The man he is delivering it to was not told Bismarck was sailing. Hitler's first question is not about the 2,200 men. It is not about the strategic consequences. It is the same question he had asked privately, impatiently, irritably, in the hours after Hood's destruction 12 days before. Why didn't Lütjens pursue Prince of Wales? Why, having just destroyed the most symbolically important ship in the Royal Navy, did he not finish off the damaged battleship alongside her? Rheinübung defends his dead fleet commander. Lütjens adhered to his orders. His orders were to avoid engagements with enemy warships, to raid commerce, to preserve the task force. He did what he was instructed to do. Rheinübung then concedes that pursuing Prince of Wales would, militarily, have been the better choice. The man who hid the operation is now delivering its autopsy to the man it was hidden from. And the first thing that man wants to know is why a different decision wasn't made 4 days before the ship went down. The consequences arrive without drama, because that is how consequences arrive. Tirpitz, Bismarck's more powerful sister ship, never sorties into the Atlantic. She is stationed in Norwegian fjords instead. A fleet in being, tying down British warships through her existence alone, never fighting, never proving or disproving anything. The surface fleet's operations are restricted to the convoy routes north of Norway. Hitler's attention is already turning east. Operation Barbarossa launches in 3 weeks. German maritime strategy from this point forward belongs to the submarines. Rheinübung continues as Commander-in-Chief of the Kriegsmarine until January 1943, when Hitler removes him after the Battle of the Barents Sea. He is replaced by Dönitz, tried at Nuremberg. Released in 1955, dies in 1960. The wreck is not found until 1989. When it is located, resting nearly 5,000 meters below the surface of the North Atlantic, it is remarkably well preserved. The swastikas painted on the fore and aft decks are still clearly visible. Historians still debate why Lütjens broke radio silence on the 25th of May. Whether he genuinely did not know he had shaken the British. Whether there was some technical misunderstanding about his shadower's positions. Whether he had already made his peace with what was coming and simply wanted his superiors to know the truth. No explanation was ever found. He left none. The war log recorded his transmissions. Rheinübung delivered his report. Hitler asked his question. And Lütjens, who argued against this operation, who went into the Atlantic already doubting it, who broke silence and led the British back to him, who acknowledged a birthday greeting from the Führer 2 days before his death, who ended his last signal with an oath of loyalty to the head of state in whose service he had argued, been overruled and died, left nothing behind but the German text, preserved in the war diary and silence where the reply should have been. Group West had the last transmission. They knew what it said. They sent boats that couldn't reach the ship in time. They updated the coordinates. They logged the task assignments. And when there were no more tasks to assign, they logged the absence. 114 survivors from 2,200 men. The rest are still there.